So you hurt your back. What to do first and next? Let's talk about it from a doctor of physical therapy. I'm Dr. Bo, and I had someone text me this morning saying she did a workout a little too much that she could handle, and her back kind of seized up. And she knew better, she told me, but not everyone does know better. And if this does happen to you, first thing you should think about is having a physical therapist. We are the musculoskeletal experts. That's a weird term, but bottom line is any injury you have to your body, we are a doctoring level profession. We are part of the healthcare system that you should be entering into, and you should have a relationship with a physical therapist. This is why I really strongly believe in an annual orthopedic screening. So back to you and your back pain. If you're watching this and you have back pain, go check out a PT. They can tell you what's going on. I was able to text with my friend here and tell her, hey, let's try this, see how this helps. If this makes it better, makes it worse, let's keep the conversation going. But having that relationship, the way we used to have a physician in our neighborhood when the towns were smaller and we didn't have all this social media and things like that, we would have a relationship with your medical doctor. And back in the day, there were no physical therapists, but we're here because we are specialists in things like low back pain. So get someone like that in your life. Look in your neighborhood. Look for a cash-based physical therapist because we're the ones who are probably going to spend more time with you, be more readily available for you, generally speaking. If you're going through the insurance model, it tends to be more restrictive. And so if you called up, they'd say, hey, you have to come in for an assessment. We might need to get you an x-ray, an MRI, all of these things before we can even approve the insurance model versus you can just text me and we can have a conversation. But the more of a relationship you and I have, and I understand your history and what you did, what you like to do, what your injury history is, that makes it a lot easier to have that conversation and say, all right, this sounds like a little flare-up. Let's see how it responds over the next 24 hours. Maybe you end up taking an Advil or something like that, or maybe you just start doing some of these BoFlos that I post a couple times a week. So that's the next point here. Number two, wherever we are here, is the directional preference. So one of the most popular ways to assess the low back is a directional preference. It's called the McKenzie method or assessment system, MDT. If you want to find someone in person to do this for you, great, but you can kind of do this on your own to some extent. It's actually one of the more popular books you can get on Amazon is Treat Your Own Low Back Pain, I believe it's called. And they have one that's Treat Your Own Neck. And it's basically understanding that, again, I just tweaked my back. How does it feel to go down, touch my toes? Does that make it same, better, or worse? And then how does it feel to lean back? Does that make it same, better, or worse? Whatever makes it better of all those, or even the same, we want to kind of keep doing that because motion is lotion, all these fun cliches. But same is what we want to keep feeding our bodies, right? That's going to help it feel better. If anything is worse, we just want to avoid that. Pretty straightforward stuff. So it gets a little more complicated than that. And again, have a conversation, have someone take you through that as much as possible, but try that out as a nice starting point, right? And then the other big thing to understand is, and where physical therapists, especially ones who understand the strength and conditioning and whatever sport or activity that led to that injury, the more we understand that and the thing that you want to partake in. So this particular person I'm talking about today did some CrossFit, a very common thing where injuries happen. Injuries happen all the time. In the research that's been done on CrossFit, it's about a 20% injury rate within the research, same thing as recreational basketball. And again, when we start talking about injuries in sports, I just want to throw out there running, we wouldn't think of it as one of the highest injury rates of all sports. And a lot of this comes back to user errors. Running actually has above a 90% injury rate. And again, a lot of that stuff is avoidable. And that's, again, where I'm here, why I am passionate and posting these videos to help you guys avoid those injuries and then get through them to help maybe avoid them in the future, especially if you're going through them right now and you got to this video. So thank you for being here. So that's the big thing with injuries. They happen because you did too much too soon that the body couldn't handle. And the load you placed on it exceeded the capacity you had for whatever that activity was. So if I'm back squatting and I put 400 pounds on there, there's ways you can be safe. And if you don't feel like you're going to make the lift, just drop the weight. There's very safe measures. But if you push through, that's the dangerous part. And that's where you might do a little too much on your back, especially if you're not moving really well. And that's where, again, it doesn't always equal, safety, because the person that texted me today, she moves pretty darn well. But she's got some patterns and some history of injuries that, again, led to some issues. So all that said, this is called acute low back pain. That means that we're in the initial stages of it, and there's nothing cute about it. Terrible name, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. If you remember math, acute angle is anything below 90 degrees, but it's just that smaller, more instantaneous piece that we're looking at. So acute low back pain, something to think about. That's what we call it, and we want to get you out of that as soon as possible. So another thing to think about here that I'll finish off with is coming back to the get PT first thing. Is recent studies showed people, you out there, hopefully we're educating you, getting you to save time, save money. That's the whole point of this. People go to their primary care physician and they're probably going to get medication or imaging, which a lot of the times they're doing that to be safe, to cover themselves, to make sure there's nothing more serious going on. But this is where we specialize. This is where we got our doctorates. This is where we spend the majority of our time. So again, get PT first. A lot of folks go to chiropractors when they have back pain. Now, they might be able to get you out of that pain by creating some kind of force of manipulation. But again, the research shows, and just going off of what the research shows, physical therapists tend to utilize manipulation, the back crack thing, more in the right ways and times, depending on what your body's showing up with. If you have numbness and tingling going down your leg, things like that, we have the research that shows physical therapists utilize these clinically based systems, clinical prediction rules, all these fancy terms, better than chiropractors. Chiropractors, for the most part, again, we're overgeneralizing here, but they tend to pretty much take you through the same sequence of events, a lot of their philosophy, and it's good. If you have a chiropractor you really like and trust, awesome. And again, if you can get you out of pain, awesome. But it's definitely a conversation worth having. Another part of this too is folks go to a massage therapist before they even go to their physical therapist, because they don't realize the physical therapist is able to have this, let's look at the root cause of this thing. Let's look at how we get you out of pain. Let's look at, again, what happened in this whole thing so we can avoid it in the future. That's really the best way, I think, in my opinion, my 2 cents, to get you guys utilizing our services and getting you feeling better in your body and living longer, living a more full life. So let's go. Think about it. Get 1% better. If you have any questions at all, comment below, reach out to me directly. We'll talk soon.